I'm Alex.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Kieran.
And this is Fish Talk. We're coming back to you again today with our second episode of Fish Talk. We have our expert on fish, Mr. Ryan Wood, and we have two novices who joined the fish hobby recently, myself and Kieran.
Hi. I'm no expert, but I think I've done it professionally, but that doesn't make me an expert. But I'm always happy for questions. So.
All right, well, thanks for clearing that up. So, today we're going to be talking, we're going to have a little questions for Ryan again, and we'll also be answering some questions and talking about some other things this week. To start off today, Kieran has a few questions that we're going to take a listen to.
And I do. And the biggest and most interesting question is, why are tropical fish so colorful? Well, if you think of the tropical area of the world, in general, there's a lot of colorful species like birds, lizards, frogs. Don't you think? A lot of colorful things. Generally, the idea of having colorful scales for fish, right, is to ward off predators. Usually, if someone is colorful, it means that they're dangerous, believe it or not. However, there's also other ways of being colorful. For example, to blend into your environment. For example, with marine fish, there's lots of colorful coral, which is like colorful live rock at the bottom of the ocean. If you have a brown or black fish trying to blend into that coral, a predator will see them, right? So fish have naturally evolved to become the same color as their potential homes.
So, you said a word in the beginning of that, scales. What are scales?
So scales, so just like we have skin, right? Fish have scales, which are a little bit harder, and it's not one collective organ like skin. Scales are individual little circular hard shells of a fish that if you look very, very close on a fish, you will be able to see.
So it's like skin.
Like skin.
Alright.
So does it also regrow like skin? So like, if a fish swims into the side of a rock and it loses some scales, will it regrow like skin does?
Yeah, that's a good question. Your scales will generally regrow unless it's a very bad injury. However, if you do scrape if your fish does scrape some rock or something, it'll have an open wound, which leaves it very, I was going to say susceptible. Susceptible is kind of a hard word, right? Let me try one more time. So if a fish scrapes against a rock or something, yes, the scales will grow back. However, with an open wound like that, the fish will become more prone to bacterial diseases. So it's a very, very dangerous time for a fish if it scrapes against a rock to the point where there's, flesh exposed.
So it's easy to get sick.
It's very easy to get sick, very easy to get viruses, bacterial infections, and I would be very worried if one of my fish had an open wound. Yes. Yeah, I mean, you gotta be careful. Those fish gotta be careful.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, good question.
Which fish can swim the fastest?
Which fish can swim the fastest?
There's a tongue twister.
Yeah, I know, right? Which fish can swim the fastest? That is a very good question. I think technically a mako shark can swim the fastest. However, maybe a blue marlin might be up there too. I think a blue marlin can swim pretty fast too. And a blue marlin is like a swordfish. So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. That's a really good question.
So why can some fish, swim so much faster than others?
Because evolution, essentially. They basically evolved to swim fast because that's what's required to catch their prey. So take, for example, swordfish. They have very slender bodies with a very sharp nose. They have to get speed in order to physically stab their fish, and they have to get enough force to potentially stick their nose entirely through a fish, and that requires a lot of speed. With mako sharks, I believe it's their competitive environment that makes them become fast swimmers. So, just like cheetahs in Africa. Cheetahs are very small and they can't compete with lions. However, they can catch some of the faster animals due to their speed. So.
Great.
Yes. So,
Have you ever seen a mako in person?
I have not, and I would be afraid to see a mako in person because makos are very fast and they're pretty interested in humans. So,
Oh, yes, that's very interesting.
yes, there are a few sharks I would not be happy to see, but generally, seeing sharks in the water is generally okay. So,
I've heard that one of the most violent sharks is the bull shark.
yeah, bull sharks are particularly violent because they generally hunt in waters that are very foggy. Not foggy, what is that? Murky. Murky waters. Yeah, murky waters. And bull sharks don't necessarily know what they're biting in those waters. So yeah, they'll pretty much bite anything that moves, which makes bull sharks pretty violent. Also, bull sharks are one of the only sharks that can actually swim up rivers into fresh water and attack humans from like the Mississippi River. So pretty intense. Otherwise, tiger sharks like to hunt humans. So watch out for tiger sharks.
And for all those out there, murky water means like very cloudy water.
Thank you
It's
for
difficult
explaining
to
that.
see.
Yes, difficult to see.
Our next question: what fish can live the longest?
What fish can live the longest? That's a good question. Well, currently there's a shark that has recently been discovered that I think is around 1,000 feet. What is that in meters? 1,000? Maybe like 333 meters, I believe. It was recently discovered, and that shark was found out to be, I think, around 300 or 400 years old. So currently, I think the longest living fish is a shark, believe it or not, and it hunts very deep in the water, so you would never see it. But yes, there's some old stuff living in the bottom of the ocean. That's for sure.
So, what is the average lifespan of a shark?
Average lifespan of a shark, it depends on the species of shark, but generally it's around 30 to 50 years.
So,
Yeah.
almost human years.
Yeah, but if conditions are correct, sharks can live much longer, just like other fish. Fish really don't have an age where they die, but usually they get eaten or something else happens to them, disease. Yeah, so essentially, if you have, for example, like a goldfish at home, goldfish generally tend to live for about 8 to 12 years, but I've heard stories of people having goldfish for 30 years, and they get really big. So, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, good question.
What is the smallest fish?
Smallest fish.
That you know?
Smallest fish.
That's a tough question.
Smallest fish. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think is the smallest fish?
I believe tetras are pretty small,
Tetras are pretty small for sure.
and also the freshwater puffer fish is pretty small too.
Yeah, that's a very good answer actually. Freshwater pufferfish are incredibly small fish. Usually when you buy them from the fish store, they're like maybe like this big, if you can see that. My wonderful audience. Yeah, they're very, very small. So, man, I think that's a great answer actually. Yeah, I would say a freshwater pufferfish or something around that size. So,
That's really small.
yes, it is very small.
Really small.
It's very small.
What's the difference between a shark and a whale?
What's the difference between a shark and a whale? Well, the sharks, they don't have a bone in their body. They have like a fake bone, like cartilage, like what we have in our nose and ears. So that's what classifies a fish as a fish. So that's probably a good indicator of what's the difference between a shark and a whale. Whales feed on much smaller fish, such as krill, which are like this big. And yeah, sharks feed on us and everything, and a lot of other things.
What
So
about sperm whales? I hear there's stories of them fighting giant squids and possibly eating them.
Yeah, I mean, sperm whales, what's good about sperm whales is they have teeth. Most other whales don't have teeth. So yeah, sperm whales and orcas, which are killer whales, have teeth, so they do tend to prey on sharks and dolphins and other things like that. So good point, Chris.
So, an orca or a killer whale is a mammal, not a fish.
It is a mammal. Yes, it is a mammal. And orcas are probably some of the smartest mammals in the ocean. They hunt in packs, and they actually have the ability to temporarily come onto land and attack something, then return to the ocean.
Wow.
Yes, they slide on the beach and grab stuff. They can eat dogs and stuff, which is pretty crazy.
I never want to see that.
Killer whales are actually very smart, and it's unfortunate that we keep them in some places like SeaWorld in America. So, yes.
What about whale sharks?
Whale sharks?
What is a whale shark? It's not a whale. It's not a shark. It's not a whale. It's not a shark.
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So they give it the name the whale shark because it's large like a whale. It actually is a shark. And in fact, great whites and large great whites and whale sharks are almost the same size. However, if you find a large whale shark, they measure about 40 to 45 feet. And yeah, those are, they're very, very big fish. They're beautiful. I recommend checking them out at either the Osaka Aquarium or the Okinawa Aquarium. And they're beautiful, slow swimming fish. They're fun to swim with. And they feed on very, very little shrimp. So yeah, pretty harmless. So they have very, very big mouths.
Yes. Wow.
Great.
So, completely random question, but if you got swallowed by, say, a blue whale or a whale shark, since its mouth is that big, what would happen to you? Like, would you be able to somehow get out of the giant creature that just ate you, or would you just die?
Let's assume that a whale shark eats you and doesn't realize that you're not food and spits you out and tries to swallow you. Well, you would rupture its stomach, and you'd probably be able to just swim through out the mouth because the whale shark would be dead. So.
Okay, so it definitely, it's.
You don't have to worry too much about it. You don't have to worry too much about it, but I think it would be a terrible accident. I feel more bad for the whale shark.
Yeah.
Because, but hey, he's done what he did, so. That's true. Anyway, yeah.
Well, next time we will be coming to you live with Fish Talk, and next time we'll be talking about some of the most dangerous freshwater fish. See you next time.
Alright, see you.
Bye.